Boom. All right, so we're recording. This is our 49th ever knowledge drop, which is super exciting, and a topic that obviously I think we've done two that sort of are in this ballpark in the past, sort of around the same subject, but it's a subject that there's obviously a lot of interest in. We already have like 20-some people, here live on the webinar, and then, probably people watching this recording later on in the future as well, because this is a super interesting topic, and you are a amazingly perfect person to cover it. So thanks for doing it, Hallie. And before we jump into things, I'll just explain kind of how stuff works. You guys already found the chat box, so feel free to continue to chat where you are in the world, from Bosnia to San Jose. People all over, man. This is cool. And then there's also a Q&A box. So if you see at the bottom of the Zoom room with the webinar feature, there's a Q&A box. We'll hopefully have like 5 to 10 minutes at the end after Hallie finishes her slide deck to actually get to your guys' questions. So if you have any, real live questions that come up as she's covering what she wanted to share with y'all today, feel free to put those in the Q&A box, and we'll try to actually get to them at the end. And then also, like I mentioned, this is getting recorded. So this recording will live on in our Knowledge Drop YouTube archive, and you guys can rewatch it, send it to a friend. If you have somebody in your life that's like trying to kind of, get their presence out there a little more, build up a following, start a blog, whatever, this might be the perfect little 30-minute video to shoot their way to give them some inspiration and some new ideas. So with all of that out of the way, thanks again for being here. What a cool crew of people. I'm just looking through like the names of the attendees. Super fun people in here. Thanks again for joining, and let me pass it over to you, Hallie. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for finding the right Zoom room. Good job.
Not my fault. All right. So Trav, let me know when you can see my screen.
And now, well, it's loading up, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. What's up, you guys? I'm Hallie. A few minutes late. Yeah, it was probably my fault. But today we're going to talk about turning a blog into a business. And I just want to preface before we get into it that I know a lot of people might not have blogs. So we're going to use the conversation today to kind of encompass social media or any other microblog that you might have. So I always feel a little bit awkward just jumping into things, saying like, hey, what's up, here is me and I'm the expert. So I thought to start, I would give you a very brief run through of my Pechakucha back in the days of Remote Year Month 1. So I'm Hallie. I'm from Chicago. I have a really weird sense of humor. I love to travel. I am a full-time content creator, and I went to Fire Festival. But please, please don't use this forum to ask me questions about it. So that might be our next knowledge drop. Okay, Trav. Moving on. Okay. So how to turn a blog into a business. So today, guys, we're going to talk about how I did it. I know, speaking from experience, it's a very overwhelming process. Where exactly do you start? But if you're able to build trust, you can ultimately grow an audience that wants to hear from you and prove that you are valuable to brands. So why I'm dropping it, my site is amongotherthings.com. I launched it 10 years ago when I was working at a market research consultancy. Fun fact, my client was BP, and my first day at work was the oil spill. So I've been full-time at it, quit in the corporate world for about 5, almost 6 years. And in that time, I've been a global brand ambassador for Nike, Macy's, Aloft Hotels, some other brands, and I've executed more than 150 custom collaborations across my brand, my blog, my social media for the clients that you see here. So the hardest part about all of this, you guys, is just starting. It really is. You just have to start posting, start publishing, and get that out of the way. So just to kind of bring it back, 10 years ago, I started here and here and here and here. So I used to have a little digital point and shoot camera. I would find a flat surface somewhere in public, mortifying, and I would go set it down, set the self timer, run away from it, pose like in a really awkward manner, as you see, and then use that for my content. So I did all of those things to get here. So these things take time. You really can't expect any overnight success. So again, just hit publish. And where I want to start is what I'm covering just really quickly. So it's going to be the basics with an emphasis on how exactly I did this over the last 10 years, but sped up, with an emphasis on social media growth strategies. And then I want to talk to you at the end about exactly what I do to market myself as an influencer, and what things I put in my media kit so that I can reach out to brands and so that you could do the same. So to start, the foundation is good content. Obviously, hashtag content, right? We see that everywhere. But really good content, it has a purpose, it's relatable, it's emotional, it's aspirational, it's valuable. It creates a connection, it makes you a human being, right? The digital world has really kind of humanized our lives in different ways. So everybody values really raw human connection. So it doesn't have to be all of these things. It certainly shouldn't be all of these things at one time, but it should be a few of these things. And remember that that's what makes good content. And that's exactly how you should write or how you should create. You know, I encourage you to be yourself, to be honest, authentic, and consistent, definitely. It always helps me to read my stuff out loud first, and remember just not to create or post just for the sake of posting. So once you have these ideas for all of this content to create, you kind of want to narrow it down into a niche. So a niche, like what to talk about, right? My niche when I first got started, I noticed that I had some traction when I was talking about gossip girl fashion and how to get those looks for less. So that was my niche when I started. That's where I noticed audiences were gathering to hear what I had to say. So if you don't have one, for many of you, I imagine it might be travel, lifestyle, maybe career, something of that sort. Just try to answer these questions, maybe journal about them. You know, what are some of your hobbies? What do you like to talk about? Are people always asking you for advice about something? These are areas where you are already an expert and you should consider sharing them. So in that way, your brand content or your hashtag sponsored content always comes off organic. This is when you start working with brands. So when you're writing or when you're creating, you always want to answer the why. This is if you're doing sponsored content or unsponsored content. You want to give your audience something to aspire towards or benefit from or feel about or relate to. And what I mean by evergreen content in that third bullet point is that you want to make something that will be useful next year and next year and next year. So, I mean, people love a cheese board. You know what I'm saying? So that, in my case of this post, that's how it was evergreen. Pinterest loves a cheese board. All right, so next up. So we're creating our content. We found a niche. You have a voice that you've developed that you're consistent in. You want to be social on social. Yes, be social on social. Be better in real life than you are online, right? No one wants to look at your highlight reel. They really don't. If you have all these awesome photos and opportunities and travel content to publish, you can find a way to kind of like make it real or make it relevant to people. Just remember to answer the why, make it valuable. So whether you're using social media to amplify your blog content or as your own microblog, a lot of people use Instagram just as their blog these days. Keep these things in mind. And then if you kind of lose sight of exactly how to be social on social, just kind of think back to why you follow certain people or personalities and why, you make friends in real life. It's the same thing. It's a carryover. Remember, be better in real life than you are online. It's all about building relationships, right? So social media completely changed the game for me. When I started my little blog 10 years ago, I had no intention of making it a business. I had no idea that it would become a business. But then social media happened and it completely changed the game because people could then build a relationship with me. So remember, as you're doing this, offer genuine engagement, follow your followers, the people who are championing you. It's a hard one. Follow them, comment on their stuff, like really get engaged with them. Just be genuine. Get your name out there. And then you want to utilize hashtags and geotags as well. I'll touch on that, but first I wanted to give me and Travis's favorite example is the party example. So when you use social media, remember, it's like you're at a party. If you walked into the party and you were like, hey guys, what's up? I just wrote this blog post, check out my shit, check it out. People would be like, okay, like how's that relevant to me? It's not, so no thanks. This is very broadcast style. And people don't really react to it that well. So don't walk into a party, don't post on social media in a very broadcast mannerism because this is the response you're going to get, right? Offer value, offer something informational that people can use or that people find relevant to themselves. Don't forget it. All right, so be strategic on social media. Use geotags and hashtags really strategically. You want to be reaching a certain customer or you want to be reaching a certain audience. You don't just want to reach a blanket audience. It's going to increase your visibility and ultimately introduce you to a relevant audience to you. So you'll see the screenshot I have on the left here. You wouldn't want to use the post hashtag Greece on your post because that shit is going to get lost in all of the other hashtag Greece content. So now if you see on the right, some of the hashtags that I used for this post, instead of hashtag Greece, hashtag Ia Santorini, hashtag visit Greece GR. These are all hashtags I spent time researching, but they're a little bit more niche so that you're going to get in front of an audience or brand customers that you want to be. So just a couple technicalities. 30 max Instagram allows. 5 to 6 are ideal in my opinion. Use up to 11 if you absolutely must. But just trial and error, see what works for you. Make sure you stay relevant, you stay targeted, you use niche hashtags. Remember, don't use the blanket ones. But start your own. Here's an example of two that I've created over time. HKWIRL, that's me, Hallie Wilson in real life. And then whenever I travel, I create hashtags for all of those places as well. So, all right, most importantly, and I know this is the one that everybody kind of groans about, but you really got to take time to grow. So establish trust first and foremost. This is what you're doing when you're building relationships with people. Because in order to grow, you have to have relationships. People have to like you to want to follow you, and they have to trust you to follow you, right? They have to trust you to buy what you're selling, so to speak. So just a couple reminders on how to do this, and this is a blanket statement in basically how to turn your blog into a business overall. Stay authentic, provide value, post consistently, but be mindful of posting fatigue, right? We all have those people in our feeds that are posting like 6 times a day or whatever. You just notice when it's a little bit too much. So if you feel like you're getting that feedback from your audience, maybe post a little bit less. Again, it's all about trial and error, but post consistently while being mindful of posting fatigue. Don't just post for the sake of it. Remember the party analogy. Don't broadcast, and don't be afraid to humanize the experience. Remember, it's social media. It's, at the end of the day, this platform where we all just want to feel connected. All right, so trial and error. Sometimes your stuff won't stick. So in order to grow, you have to be willing to take risks. Yes, try to post at that time, or see if this content does well, or see if Gossip Girl fashion is something that your readers are passionate about and want to hear more from you on. But you have to do this so that you can figure out how you can spend your time when you're blogging, right? How to turn it into a business, where your sweet spot is. And ideally, you want to be spending your time at the intersection of where you want to be, what you're passionate about talking about, and where your audience is. It's a Jay-Z quote on the right. It's dope, right? Okay, so that's all of the blogging and content stuff out of the way. Now, I know a lot of you might be wondering about exactly how to show brands or clients your value. So the first thing you need to do is introduce yourself. And I encourage you to do this over social media, right? So build relationships with brands, editors, bigger bloggers, or people in your industry that you really like on social media. Comment with them, tag them in your captions, go to their, if it's a hotel, go to their hotel, geotag them, enter them in the comments, introduce yourself in this way so that you're not just blanket emailing them, build a relationship before you ask for something, especially in a business manner. Oh my gosh. Now the one question I get probably every single time I say, oh, I'm a blogger, content creator full-time. Yep, been doing it for 5 years. Yes, 10 years ago. People say, well, how big is your following? Or how many followers do you have? And I kind of laugh because I've worked really hard to get where I am, but numbers are not everything, you guys. Numbers are not everything, really. If you think about it, if you have 500 million followers and only 5 million followers, and 1% of them believe what you do and they're loyal to you and they'll act on what you say, or maybe you have 500 followers and 20% of those people believe what you do and act what you say. Engagement is much more important. And I really don't know the math is correct on that, or else I sound like a total asshole. But either way, bottom line, numbers are not everything. I actually lose followers daily, especially on Instagram. The algorithm is always changing, and a lot of the time you just can't explain it. So numbers are not everything. It happens to the best of us. But what's really important is that you show your value. If you show why you're valuable to a brand or a client, they're going to want to work with you, right? And once you can demonstrate that you're an authority in that field, you have leverage. So by authority, what I mean, you have a niche, you've established a voice, you've earned people's trust, you're providing value, and you're actively engaging with your community. Market yourself as a result, right? If you influence people, then prove it. Screenshot your tweets, your DMs, your comments, all of these things that can prove this and build a case to market yourself. So these are some of the things that I use in a media kit. You just want to show brands that you've earned people's trust, you impact their decisions, and you influence their purchasing behavior, and that people look to you as an expert in the travel industry, or where to book a hotel, or what scarves to buy, or something of that nature, right? So remember, numbers are not everything. It happens. You have to show your value and market yourself with things like this. So back to you, Travis, or any questions. I wanted to leave it open for a lot of questions since I thought people might have a lot of them.
Yes.
Woo!
And that was awesome. That was like so like fast paced. Yeah, lot of content from the content creator. But thank you for getting through that. Nice job. I love this last picture by the way as well.
Oh, thank you.
Jeff, feel free to take a minute if you are there to grab Hallie's Instagram or whatever. Just Hallie Wilson, pretty simple. And
Hallie K. Wilson, and I'm super proud of you for being able to pronounce my name, Travis.
Man, it can go a lot of different directions in your brain. Like Hallie, it's tough. It's tough times. Why don't you jump off screen share and then we'll get to some questions. Hopefully people will have some questions for you. Yeah, feel free to use the Q&A box, guys. I got a few questions that I'll start with and then hopefully some people will jump on top.
How's that?
Perfect. So my first question, because I started doing this, I think like early on when we started Knowledge Drops, this is like almost 3 years ago now. Dan Gold, great guy, runs Half and Half Travel with his girlfriend Becca, also a great gal. But he did one kind of about like their story of how Half and Half Travel blew up. And he was the reason I sort of started using hashtags. But what I kind of did after that was like I just made a note in my phone that has just general travel hashtags and I copy and paste that into a lot of my Instagram posts. You kind of have a different perspective on using hashtags, like try to find, a small amount that are like more niche to the exact post itself. Like where do you kind of fall on, how you hashtag now? Like, or do you think copying and pasting just like the same general, because I looked up like best travel hashtags and then I just been using those for like 2 years. Is that kind of say now or yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, that could work, but then you have to also bear in mind how many other people are looking at best travel hashtags and using those too. So if you type it in on Instagram, you can see exactly how many hashtags exist that are that hashtag. I don't know how to explain that. But so what I always do is I try to like take that blanket hashtag. So hashtag Greece had 3 million or something. Your content will never get seen. It always gets buried, and just try to like break it down a little bit. So in the case of like the Citizen House, we were in Greece, but we were in hashtag Paros Greece or hashtag Nausa Greece. So I try to stick with hashtags that have less than 100,000 hashtags with them. Even less is ideal. You don't want to use ones that just like are like the main ones, because again, that's like being in Greece and going to the main sunset spot at sunset. You are not going to get your photo. You're going to be standing in line with everybody else. Go to the ones that are a little bit more off the beaten path, because then people who are more strategic about searching for whatever content that is that you're posting, find your content, and since they're objective about it, they're probably going to follow you, right? By the way, this is all assuming that you guys have your Instagram set to public too. Okay. Yeah.
And then MCA, I think Greece was actually 30 million. How it's just like crazy. So I totally get your point. Like it'll just get lost. I was hashtagging Greece in all my Greece photos. Probably pointless, but whatever.
Yeah.
And MCA is asking, do you have any way of tracking sort of hashtag success? Like how do you know if a hashtag's going well, or do you check back on that stuff? You just assume it's like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of tell. So I have an Instagram business profile. Everybody can have an Instagram business profile if they want. I wouldn't suggest it if you only want to use your Instagram for personal growth reasons, just because Instagram penalizes you if you have a business profile and doesn't show your content to as many people. But what you can do is you can go into your insights and you can see exactly how many people are coming to your profile from your hashtags. I kind of, since I've been in the business, or I've been doing this for a while, I kind of know exactly which hashtags for me have traction. So for example, ladies, when I post travel content, I always hashtag Dame Traveler, and I always hashtag She Is Not Lost, because those are two travel accounts that I love and I follow that have a good amount of content that's uploaded to them daily. But there are also a couple apps that you can use, Planoly, Later, Preview. When you log in with your business profile, you can actually do hashtag research on a lot of these, and then you can save hashtags like fashion, travel, lifestyle, food. So just for the sake of this recording and for everybody else, I would encourage you to use these apps for scheduling, research, planning, auto posting, things like that. Whatever works for you. That's Planoly, Later, and Preview.
Cool. And kind of on that, since you touched on like the business versus personal Instagram accounts, Corinne is asking a question of like, can you get more engagement by reverting from business back to personal? And then maybe if you just want to elaborate on like how you see the difference between those two. Like, I don't know much at all about the difference between personal and business accounts. Maybe just to elaborate a bit on that, but also.
Yeah. Yeah, so Corinne, I'm actually not 100% sure, but I've tried this too because I was blacklisted by Instagram a couple of weeks ago. Blacklisted means like I don't, it's Google it, blacklisted by Instagram. You get penalized. They don't show your content to anyone. So I tried this. I reverted back to a personal Instagram, and I really didn't see a huge difference. And the reason I can't stay that way is because I have brand partnerships where brands need to be able to see the insights. And for me, it's more valuable to be able to see the numbers from a strategic perspective than it is just to get more likes and follows and things like that. Because I'm more focused on like the people that are engaging with me every day. Every time I post something, they're commenting. I'm making sure that they feel loved and coddled on their Instagram too. So I don't have a black and white answer to that, but the answer is I don't think so, but it's kind of like you have to trial and error for yourself. But I would not recommend Remote Year does that. So, because then you lose all of your past analytics. Everything is gone. It's crazy. Yeah.
Nice. And then, so Richard, your dear friend Richard Silver, he popped in here with a question. Do you use a set email format to contact companies you want to work with? And you touch on this a little bit, like, actually tag them or comment on their stuff and just sort of start to kind of try to build a relationship. But yeah, what is maybe your like just process in terms of if like that hotel's cool, I'm in that same city right now, I'm going to try to work with them. Like, what do you go do?
Yeah, totally. Yes. So I do have that. Wow, Travis, you take that Q&A real fast. I was like reading it. Hi, Rich. Yeah, I do have a set. I use a lot of apps to help me out with that. First and foremost, what I do is I have a media kit, which basically answers questions that clients ask me, and it shows people exactly what I had in that deck, how I influence people and why. And I have a couple tailored based on what niches I cover: travel, fashion, lifestyle, things like that. And then what I do is normally people will reach out, and if they just ask me, I either say like, here's my media kit, or I ask them like what their rates are and stuff. So I do also it's a Google Chrome plugin. I think it's just Google responses or Gmail response. I think it's Gmail responses, but you can actually set up, I can't think of the word right now, but like actual, help me, Travis, what's the word? Canned responses. Canned responses.
Yeah.
Nailed it. So it's Gmail. It's Gmail canned responses. It's one of the best Chrome plugins. So I have all of those too. It's like, thank you, next. Yes, would love to work with you, things like that. But it's important to have a media kit. You can build one in Word, Microsoft Excel, and then look into that plugin too for Gmail. Canned responses helps a lot. Yeah.
Nice. And like your media kit, like how big is the media kit? What do you have in your media kit? Maybe just a little bit more on that, because I'm not sure about that at all.
Yeah, so mine's about 3 pages, but then again, I've also been doing this for 10 years. It basically, the first page is exactly like, this is who I am, this is what my blog is about, and this is my audience demographic. So I know those things because I can pull them up through Instagram Business Insights or Google Analytics. And then again, like just going back to this being better in real life than you are online, just like a brand wants to work with you because they want to work with you. The same reason why you get a job, right? Because your coworkers want to work with you. So the first couple of pages, this is who I am. This is my blog. This is a little bit of history about my blog. This is what my blog covers. This is some audience engagement that I have to show you that I'm an expert on the subject. And these are my rates. So you can have all 3 of those things. If you don't know how to rate set, I would suggest just kind of like researching and looking around. Start high, because brands will always come in a little bit lower, and then you can find a sweet spot. So, but it also depends, right? If you're just starting out, maybe you just want to work for like an exchange basis for free product, free hotel stays, things like that. It all kind of takes like conversating with brands and building those relationships to figure it out.
This might be a hard no because I have no idea what the implications are, but would you be able to share your like media kit onto like the Knowledge Drop Slack channel or something following this? Or is that like weird? I don't know. I have no idea. Or like a version of it? Like
I can share a version of it. I'll share the one that, I'll share the outline of it that I use, that I update. Cool. Yeah, that has like about me, about my brand, things like that. I use Photoshop, by the way. If you want to build a media kit, you have Photoshop. You can go on Etsy. They have like a ton of different little templates you can buy, or you can literally just have like an email template that you send back to people. Doesn't have to be fancy. Probably the bane of my existence over the last 10 years is that I try to have everything perfect and packaged when really I can just send an email that says, here's what I can offer, here's what I can do. Yeah.
Cool. Because I'm like, maybe just helpful for myself, but all the visual, learner people out there, hopefully too, would like, for me, I would just love to see like some sort of example version that's like maybe an old version or like a scaled down version.
Yeah, no, I can totally do that.
Awesome. Thank you. We have a few more questions. Jen, your former PL, is asking, what's the difference between the work you do while you're traveling as opposed to what you do when you're back at home? P.S. Love you, miss you, XOXO.
Hi, Mom. I love you and miss you too. So one of the differences that right now I have a wine client that's only available in the US. I actually flew home to get to the product to come back here to shoot it. And I still have to shoot it in a way that is relevant or that makes it seem like it's in the US because that's the only place that it's banned. And yes, Corinne, shadow banned, that was the word. Thank you. I don't remember what I said, like boxing or something. So the difference when I'm traveling, I more so just like take my own content and I think ahead about like, well, here are the brands that I'm going to want to work with. Whereas back home, it's more so like it's passive. People come to me and give me opportunities. Whereas while I'm on the road, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I reach out to brands, I pitch them and I say, hey, this is where I'm going to be in Morocco and you have this dope riad. Can I come and shoot some content at it? And here's my media kit. Here's why. So it's a little bit more proactive when I'm on the road versus a bit reactive when I'm at home.
Cool. We have one more question. We'll close it down with this because I think we're right at time. But you spoke about this a little bit, but like the niches, can you do a few different ones or you just stick to like one kind of core one or should they relate to each other somehow? But that's a question coming in from Noad.
Hi, Noad. Calf. You can have a couple different ones. Honestly, like you can have as many as your audience allows you to have. Like I talk about wellness, I talk about fitness. When I was teaching fitness, style, I've noticed my style one doesn't quite stick anymore because I noticed the content for me that does the best is when I'm talking about wellness. I'm being very open and honest about that. But for me, it's the idea is whatever you can build a narrative around is exactly what you should kind of have as a niche. So it can be a few things. It can be one thing. It can be a really small thing. It can be a big thing. But again, whatever comes naturally to you, whatever you can build a narrative around, that's probably where you're going to be successful.
Amazing. And actually, this is a great feel-good final question. So we'll close it down with one last one from Lauren. She's saying, what project or partnership are you most proud of from this last year?
Probably Aloft Hotels. Music is everything to me, and Aloft invited me to come to Coachella with them to showcase the experience and to kind of help brainstorm content around the experience. And I actually still kind of pinch myself over that. So that was really surreal. That's why I'm just saying, like, use your hobbies, your passions, use the things that you're passionate about, because then the rest kind of falls into place if you give it enough time and if you're passionate about it. So
yeah, that's actually kind of a great story to end on because it's like, 10 years of work kind of leads up to just getting like a free, incredible experience at Coachella if you do it right and you're genuine and you're good at what you do. So you were all those things, and thank you for doing the knowledge drop today. You're the best. We just spent like 3 weeks together in Greece, so that's how Hallie and I know each other quite well now. But lovely person, and I think, like we talked about this, you'd be open to anybody watching this to connect with you on Slack or like even on Instagram or whatever if they have more questions and follow-up questions and stuff?
Yep, 100%. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or on Slack because my email is just something I've kind of let go over time. So
we're probably the same, like 2,000 unread emails. I'm like, whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. So, well, thank you guys again for joining us. Next knowledge drop will be the 50th knowledge drop. I don't know if we have to like get like confetti or like something for that, but thanks for doing the 49th, and yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Travis. Thanks everyone. Much love. Cheers.